veteran quarterback Bert Jones hit Glenn Dowdy for 2 touchdowns in 41 seconds to break the game open. And the Colts emerged from the pressure cooker with a hard-fought 27-13 victory.
Colts know quite well. Bert Jones against Kenny Anderson. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Colts. A classic AFC matchup in the NFL Game of the Week. Carr was behind Ken Riley and never broke stride. The Colts led 7-0. On the very next play, Jones went for Carr again. Never mind that Carr had stepped out of bounds, for even if he had stayed in, the 88-yard play was nullified by offsetting penalties. The Colts for illegal procedure, the Bengals for a personal foul. Thus Carr rekindling the drive. Perhaps a bit overworked, Jones gave Carr a breather and turned to Glenn Dowdy. One pass to number 35 brought a 24-yard interference call. A second, a 13-yard gain to the Bengal 22. But a third and fourth attempt failed to click. With Dowdy used up, Jones then went back to omnipresent Roger Carr, and the rest apparently helped as he was wide open behind number 23 Bernard Jackson, who took that one false step inside. On the 22-yard score, Carr got his 5th catch and 133rd yard as the Colts climb back to trail by 3. Another look reveals that Jones got good protection. Carr was well behind Jackson, and Jones didn't miss. Bert Jones and Roger Carr once again weave their magic. Carr's dazzling speed converted a simple turn-in pattern into a 65-yard touchdown sprint. And Bert Jones was the first man on the scene to congratulate him. The Jones-to-Carr connection had kept Baltimore in the game and now had given the Colts the lead again for the 6th time in period 3. And given that many opportunities, Bert Jones and the Colt attack are odds-on favorites to make something happen. Glenn Dowdy's catch and run covered 33 of the most crucial yards of the afternoon. One big offensive or defensive play often can turn a hard-fought contest around. And as period 3 passed into period 4, running back Roosevelt Leaks culminated what Jones and Dowdy had started, crashing 2 yards for the all-important go-ahead touchdown. For 3 periods, these two AFC powerhouses had slugged it out in center ring. But with the coming of period 4 came the sneaking suspicion that the seesaw had tipped for the final time. Together an 8-minute, 15-play drive with Jones twice hitting critical third down passes. But despite Glenn Doughty's instructions, the officials marked this catch just inches short of a first down.
And in one glittering afternoon against the Cincinnati Bengals, Carr caught 6 more passes, good for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The Baltimore Colts fired the first volley of the day when Bert Jones unloaded a pass to Roger Carr, number 81. And Carr finished the 68-yard play with plenty of room to spare, a victory salute to the fans, and an impressive dipper dunk.
On the wane, it all came down to 4th and 1. To the roar of a standing ovation, a mountain of blue stopped Kenny Anderson and the Bengals cold. For number 20, Jackie Wallace, and the rest of the young Baltimore Colts squad, this play advanced the Colts one more step up the ladder toward pro football's upper echelon. For not only had the Colts defeated a super football team, but they had come from behind twice to do it. Baltimore fans have suffered through a difficult rebuilding program, but last year's sudden reversal indeed has introduced a new era in Colt football, a winning era that promises only bigger and better things for Colt fans in the days ahead.
Despite numerous injuries, Jones loves to challenge a defense directly, and this makes him doubly dangerous, as long as he remains reasonably healthy. Not even 10 shiploads of Buccaneers could stop the Pony Express, as Jones to number 26, Lydell Mitchell, accounted for 24 yards and a touchdown. And then it was Jones to number 81, Roger Carr, for 48 yards, and a 42-17 victory, which left the 3-1 Colts tied for first with the Patriots in the AFC's Eastern Division.
Next, Don Shula's Miami Dolphins paid their respects to the league's best offense, and another national TV audience watched Bert Jones complete 10 straight passes and 11 of 14 overall as he led the Colts on 4 successive scoring drives.
Moves equally well on land and through the air. An offense that controls the tempo of every contest while covering gridiron real estate in wholesale chunks. In a 21-point second quarter against Miami, Bert Jones moved the Colts through the Dolphins almost at will. Wide receiver Glenn Doughty is but one of Baltimore's many and varied offensive weapons. Jones can call a lot of numbers inside an opponent's 20-yard line, and he doesn't hesitate to call his own. After 3 quarters, Bert Jones and company led by only 17-13. But in the fourth period, the Colts pulled away from the slumping Bills and padded their victory margin to a convincing 31-13. For the Colts, it was another joyful fourth period on the way to an apparent postseason playoff position.
To New York, where the Bert and Roger show this time accounted for more than 200 yards, including 2 more long touchdowns. As for Bert Jones, Joe Namath said, "If you asked me to pick the #1 quarterback in the league, I'd pick Bert Jones. Who else?"
Quarterback Bert Jones, the most explosive weapon in the game. Last Sunday against the Jets, Jones backed up his coach's boast by passing for 300 yards and leading the Colts to their 6th victory. Jones, who is the league's highest-rated passer, threw 2 scoring passes to Roger Carr, number 81. "We didn't play that well," said Bert. In fact, the final score made the teams look more evenly matched than they were. All-purpose back Lydell Mitchell, number 26, amassed over 200 yards running and receiving and made everything look easy. A coach once said that he liked to see the ball in the air a lot because it was easier to follow. With Bert Jones' velocity, it ain't necessarily so. To come back,
which was billed as a duel between the Jones-Carr connection and New England's 3-4 defense, featuring the best young cornerback in the league, Mike Haynes, number 40. Roger Carr caught 3 passes for 86 yards, and his 9th touchdown of the season gave the Colts the early lead.
At 6'3" and 212 pounds, Bert Jones carries the bulk of many NFL running backs, and he doesn't hesitate to carry the ball. On Baltimore's first possession, Jones and Mitchell moved the ball to New England's 22. The rest belonged to speedster Roger Carr. Carr averages slightly more than 1.7 miles per reception. The Jones-to-Carr connection has become one of football's deadliest. Forgotten all about Roger Carr. Needing a big play to arouse his lethargic Colts, Bert Jones fired the cannon. Nothing fancy about this play. Carr's speed simply left Mike Haynes wishing he'd taken up some other line of work. A replay shows a perfectly thrown ball and a wide-open receiver.
Action reasserted itself in the rematch with the Jets, as Bert Jones threw 3 second-quarter touchdown passes, including Roger Carr's 10th of the season.
50-plus yards to his total of more than 1,600 combined yards for the season. And Mitchell is one of those rare performers who prefers to let someone else take care of the celebrations. Roger Carr added his 10th touchdown of the season from the league's top-ranked passer, Bert Jones, the man Joe Namath says is in a class all by himself. The Colts won 33-16 and clinched a spot in the playoffs.
Only 4 yards from pay dirt, the call went to Mitchell twice. But Bert Jones is capable of some extraordinary offensive feats. Nobody really knows how far he can throw the ball on a line, but this strike to Don McCauley arrived in a hurry. Offense from high gear into reverse. All the while, Bert Jones hovered on the brink of a big play for the Colts. And midway through period 3, Jones uncorked a spiral to write home about. From the Cardinal 30, Jones hit tight end Raymond Chester in stride for an easy 6-pointer. Counting Jones' drop and the angle of the pattern, Bert's overhand strike traveled some 50 yards on a line. A replay reveals the superb timing between quarterback and receiver and a near indefensible pass. The 30-yard connection interrupted Baltimore's offensive lethargy, and with ample time remaining, Baltimore stood perched within striking distance. Needing a touchdown to win, Bert Jones came back throwing, and suddenly the pieces started falling together. Jones and number 35, Glenn Dowdy, covered 43 yards on 2 plays, the second of which was a study in timing and concentration, as Jones again threw a near-perfect pass.
Arm in football. Bert Jones and Roger Carr rank as pro football's finest long ball combination. It seems they could run this play in street clothes. The Jones-Carr connection typifies Baltimore's multifaceted air game, a diverse attack whose receivers will travel anywhere with a Bert Jones pass. But no matter where success leads them, the Colt air game works. Roger Carr, Glenn Dowdy, and tight end Raymond Chester, number 87, can penetrate any defense and have the credentials to prove it. This week, the Colts' league-leading offense challenges pro football's finest defense in the steel curtain. Last year, Pittsburgh brushed the Colts aside en route to the Super Bowl. This year, things may be different.
He's set up to throw and is going to throw. Again looking for Mitchell and has him. First down. Run out of bounds by Glenn Edwards, number 27. First down as they move into Steeler territory at the 47. For Bert Jones. Jones rolls out, looks for Raymond Chester. Chester, first down, 46-yard line. The tight end from Morgan State right here in Baltimore, Maryland. Jones looking over the middle. Raymond Chester, first down at the 42-yard line. Hit down by Jack Ham. Jones to throw on first down. Excellent protection. Now decides to run. Gets the ball to Mitchell. Steps around Jack Ham. Inside the 25. Down to the 20-yard line goes Lydell Mitchell. First down, Baltimore. And Jones to throw. Looking for Carr all the way. He is there. Touchdown. I'm telling. Bert Jones flat on his back. Gets up to see what happened. Bert Jones to throw on first down. Across the middle, Raymond Chester, first down, 44-yard line. Knocked down by Glenn Edwards. Out of the Steelers. Jones has time, drills it for Glenn Dowdy, his first catch of the day. Mel Blunt has him at the 30-yard line. Ball is at the 29. This is intended for Carr. He's got it at the 10-yard line. Jones as blitzes on, he gets it away. Dowdy's got the football. Dowdy, as a flag goes down inside the 5-yard line.
Roger Carr became the first player all year to score a first-period touchdown against Pittsburgh. But when Bert Jones looked for more, the game's best defense closed down the game's best offense. Explosive partnership of Bert Jones to Roger Carr as the Colts rolled up 426 yards. But this initial victory of the season would be the last time the offense would function as a whole. For Roger Carr soon suffered a debilitating knee injury and wouldn't approach duplicating his game-breaking exploits of the past 2 years.
The Baltimore Colts aren't concerned with a comeback, but rather a continuation of last season. Bert Jones to Roger Carr showed mid-season form last Sunday as the Seattle Seahawks fell 29-14. Armed with last season's formula for success and stronger still in other areas, the facts are only teams with exceptional strength will seriously challenge the Colts this season. Not exactly a big splurge for the Colts, who've been racked by injuries to important personnel, but it was enough to keep their record squeaky clean. So now the Colts are 3-0 and the Bills are 0-3, 64 and 52 yards. To this, Jones added a 47-yard pass to Raymond Chester on the Colts' next series. The Colts, however, were not quite so fortunate as the Dolphins. They were unable to complete the drive with a touchdown and settled for a field goal. Baltimore had had 3 possessions and scored 10 points, while the Dolphins had literally only touched the ball twice and scored 14 points. The rear of the end zone for a touchdown that reduced Miami's margin to 11 points. This was a big day for Dowdy, who was returning from injuries, the 19. But Jones beat a blitz and burned Larry Gordon by hitting Raymond Chester in the corner of the end zone for a second straight Colt score. Bert Jones had a hot passing hand, and he was no different this half. Scrambling away from pressure, he hit reliable Don McCauley over the middle for a 21-yard gain. Then on a 3rd and 2 situation at the Miami 34, Jones, with all day to find a proper target, threw to McCauley for the touchdown that put Baltimore back in the lead. Padding the Colts' lead. Glenn Dowdy had his second touchdown of the game, and the Colts had some breathing room, now up by 10, 38-28. Foley had replaced Dick Anderson at strong safety, and Jones quickly took advantage of the matchup by hitting Raymond Chester at the 1. It was a fine catch against a much smaller man and led to Don McCauley's touchdown over right tackle on the very next play.
But Bert Jones and company struck for 2 quick touchdowns to Raymond Chester and Glenn Dowdy. And Baltimore pulled to within 4 points of Miami at the end of the first half. Jones to 4 more touchdowns as the offense, with all facets in high gear, enjoyed its most productive day of the season. The Colts missed a clutch. Don McCauley scored the final touchdown on one of the 51 catches he would make for the year. And Baltimore had completed its incredible comeback.
Eastern Division showdown with the Patriots. Their leader is number 7 quarterback Bert Jones, last year's NFL Player of the Year. Number 7 is a blueprint of the perfect quarterback, owning all the physical as well as mental attributes needed for greatness. Jones kept close to the vest, using runners Ron Lee, Don McCauley, and Lydell Mitchell to pick the Chiefs apart and move virtually at will. Yet for all their movement down near the goal line, Baltimore found further progress difficult indeed. Baltimore failed to score here and would manage only 2 other short touchdowns on the afternoon. It was a bewildering experience for this team, which is used to racking up many points each afternoon. Baltimore quarterback Bert Jones was acting downright coldish before a very important game with the Steelers, a team that rudely crushed his Super Bowl dreams last December in the playoffs. What a difference a year makes. On this Sunday, the Colts did not sit back on their heels and wait for something good to happen. They made it happen. Off play action, Jones isolated running back Roosevelt Leaks on linebacker Lauren Tays, number 51. And the result was a lead the Colts never relinquished. The once unyielding steel curtain defense was pointedly papier-mâché against Baltimore. Baltimore running backs ghosted into the dead spots of the Steelers' zone, where Bert Jones found them for easy touchdowns. The Colts have always hoped to lessen the burden on overworked Lydell Mitchell, number 26, and now they may have that luxury with the emergence of Ron Lee, number 34, as another hard-nosed touchdown maker.
Curtis, who comes in from the blitz the other side. You'll see right here from the back. There's Curtis. But that ball is right on the money over that. That's the McClinton, the middle linebacker, right there. And 8. Same pass. Fred Scott. Got it. Oh, touchdown, yes, Freddie Scott. What a great catch. That's the lad from Amherst. Working on Gerard Williams once again. But I don't know how you can defend against it. Gerard Williams was close. The ball was perfectly thrown. 2 years of medical school, University of Cincinnati. But he's playing football tonight. Puts the Baltimore Colts out in front, breaking a 3-3 tie.
Used as a decoy, the feints opened up the field for quarterback Bert Jones. If promoter Don King is interested, Jones has an excellent straight right hand. And the Baltimore Colts had enough punch to beat the Bills by a TKO 31-13. So last week he watched in envy as Baltimore's Bert Jones hijacked his Jets and held them for a 33-point ransom. This 53-yard hookup from Jones to tight end Raymond Chester began the Baltimore Colts version of the Calgary Stampede. Bert was hotter than a smoking pistol, 45 Colt type naturally, as he passed for 322 yards and 3 touchdowns. This one a 33-yard shot to Glenn Doughty. Most quarterbacks throw best while standing statuesque in the pocket. But like the Sundance Kid, the Jones boy fires deadly when he's moving, this time to running back Lydell Mitchell. Denver now had to respect a play fake, and suddenly the short zone was open. With the Broncos off balance, Jones again went directly at Jackson, this time forcing him to commit on a screen pass to Lydell Mitchell. Backs underneath a Bronco defense that laid back, fearful of the home run pass. While number 23, Don McCauley, is an excellent receiver out of the backfield, Lydell Mitchell may be the best in football. And his tour de force touchdown cut the Denver lead to a point, 14-13. Skills defeated the collective efforts of the Broncos, who had the play apparently well defensed. Mitchell's superb effort was the first notice.
Ken Mendenhall at center. Complete to Freddie Scott. Over the 50. scrapping his way near the 45-yard line and finally pulled down at the 47. Third down pass play complete. And almost getting away, Freddie Scott down the sideline. Hunter on the coverage lost him, and Scott, had he kept his balance, John, might have just tiptoed down the sideline for the score. They're still very much in it if they win next week. Complete to McCauley. McCauley with running room. Breaks inside the 10. On 3rd and 5, he hits McCauley, and they have a first down at the 8-yard line. McCauley is in the backfield now with Mitchell. Good protection. Good catch. That is Raymond Chester, the tight end, in traffic at the 30-yard line. The Lions defensively have been able to make the plays. That's complete to Freddie Scott. Lem Barney on the tackle, but he has a Colts first down out at the 38-yard line.
Troy finally taken out toward the end of the ball game.
Jones on first down to Mitchell. Mitchell slips between tacklers and works his way for another first down out to the 49-yard line. Dowdy in motion back to the ball again. Jones throwing up the middle to Mitchell, wide open. Look at that, Mitchell elude 3 tacklers. He got away from Weaver. He got away from West, and it was Tenaple who finally hauled him down. Another first down for the Colts in the first half. One on a fumble, one on an interception, another on a missed field goal try. Jones, complete to Chester. Geron on the tackle, number 26, along with Lem Barney, number 20. First down, Colts.
Rash of injuries as well to that offensive line, and they have done an excellent job on this fine defensive football team of the Baltimore Colts.
That's complete to Raymond Chester, but his own club is behind, 6-3. First down pass complete to Lydell Mitchell. Mitchell gets to the 45-yard line of Baltimore. Everybody up on that line. Now they drop back. Jones complete, right on the money to Glenn Dowdy. Well, he threw a bad one, and then he threw a super one. It is first down, Baltimore. Good protection. Wide open is Mitchell. Mitchell will score. Touchdown. Finally, a big play from the Baltimore Colts. Score of 10-6. We have 4:53 remaining, regulation time, and the Colts with a 4-point lead.
The Colts, even with the irrepressible Bert Jones, have been just as basic on offense this season. They have relied primarily on the short pass, and made Don McCauley, number 23. Baltimore has produced 111 receptions and over 1,000 yards from their setbacks. The deep middle ranges of their zone opened up nicely for tight end Raymond Chester, number 87. Mitchell's effort fell 2 yards short, and Baltimore settled for a field goal that made the score 7-3. With 24 seconds remaining in the half, Bert Jones suddenly found his touch. On 2 Hummers to Freddie Scott, number 86, Jones moved Baltimore swiftly across the 50. Although time ran out on the Colts, the stunning suddenness with which Jones whistled Baltimore downfield boded well for them in the final 30 minutes. They were a drowning team, and it appeared Bert Jones held the lifeline to a championship. Now seemed a good time for Baltimore to quit and toss in their horseshoes for this lost season. Bert Jones, however, had other ideas, and by sheer force of his will and skill, the Colts resolutely fought back. The Colts' first touchdown resulted from a Jones fastball to Glenn Dowdy, number 35, on a square out. Dowdy's score cut the Patriot lead to a more manageable 11 points, 21-10. And a second angle reveals that New England cornerback Bob Howard, number 24, showed a step too late to deny the wide receiver the touchdown. 2.5 minutes into the new half, both teams had scored, and although the Colts were no better off than when they had gone into the locker room, at least they had offset Claiborne's sudden 6.
Had their first score. Excellent pass by Jones. Fired it in low. Dowdy does a great job of sensing where that end zone is, packing the mail in. Bert reads it all the way, gets Dowdy in the open, hits him quickly, and Dowdy does all the rest, gets it in there for 6.
In suddenness, Jones beat a safety blitz, and Baltimore quickly moves 78 yards in the right direction. For tight end Raymond Chester, the 78-yard reception was the longest in his 8-year career. But more important, it was the first time in weeks Jones had struck for the bomb. The long ball has been missing from Baltimore's arsenal throughout a month-long swoon that has seen them reach the brink of playoff extinction. But when Jones hit Chester for 78, the entire city of Baltimore woke up, only to take another nap when New England blocked the extra point that left Baltimore behind 24-16 going into the fourth quarter.
To Raymond Chester. Here comes Dickie Kahn, number 22. Jones just throws it as far as he can, and Chester reaches out, picks it off, and packs the mail into the end zone. Boy, when we said they got to do something now, we didn't anticipate that Bert Jones would react as quickly as he did.
Steve Nelson took himself out of the middle of the Patriot defense, and Jones went straight up the gut for 22 yards. Though Jones had turned a potential drive-damaging sack into a big play later in the Colt march goalward, he was not so lucky.
The ball back. They've got a 3-man rush. Everyone else is deep. He sees an opening. He said, hey, you can't do that. Away he goes, and he can run the ball. He's a fine athlete. Finally stacked up by Tim Fox, but Knoxville has got big.
And again kept alive after a potential sacking, Jones took advantage. Jones' dart to Freddie Scott brought the Colts closer, and a repeat shows that Jones was looking for Scott all the way. After a 360-degree turn on a play fake, Jones focused on his target. If Scott looks less than ecstatic, it's because Baltimore still trailed 24-23. But 12 minutes remained, and with 2 touchdown passes in 6.5 minutes, Jones had rallied the Colts back into the game.
Claiborne ran the kickoff back 101 yards to start the second half, and New England led 21-3. But Baltimore has been rallying, and there's Jones going long for Dowdy. He got it out of bounds at the 39-yard line. From Jones.
What a gutsy call by Bert Jones. He fakes, gives a pump fake, gives Dowdy time to get free, and then he fires a perfect strike. Dowdy does a great job of going up to get that ball.
Formation. Only McCauley in the backfield, and now he's in the pattern. Mitchell open. First down, 13-yard line. Lydell Mitchell. Wing left. Watch Mitchell winged on the left side. Third down, a play. Dowdy incomplete. And a flag interference against the New England Patriots, and they can't believe their luck at this point. McCauley. Touchdown! McCauley scores!
Baltimore a little more breathing room. Jones was at his daring best, retreating into the end zone, pump faking, and letting fly. "57 yards downrange, Glenn Dowdy hauled in Jones at his best. And Baltimore began a playbook-perfect drive that would see them convert 4 third-down and must situations, march 99 yards in 6 minutes, and get 3 breaks. The first break came when Jones missed Lydell Mitchell on a 3rd and 6 from the Patriot 35, but got a first down on a defensive holding penalty. Raymond Claiborne did not like the call. Down play, Jones hit Mitchell, and the Colts were on the Patriot 13. The Colts were within winning field goal range, but were destined to get a touchdown. Critical 3rd down number 3 arrived when Jones missed Dowdy slanting into the end zone. Dowdy cried foul, but there was no flag, so Jones and Dowdy tried it until they got it right, which they did on a 3rd and 8 from the New England 11. Number 24, Bob Howard, did not like the call. The Colts had a second big break, and lest anyone think that the luck had run out of those horseshoes on their hats, up popped the biggest break of all when Jones and his backs missed connections, and Jones lost the ball when hit by Steve Zabel. But officials ruled it was not a fumble. Sam Hunt, number 50, absolutely hated the call. The Colts had now gone 96 yards, gotten 3 breaks, and converted 3 third-down plays. Fittingly, when a 4th third-down call came up, the Colts went in for the go-ahead score. The citizens of Crab Cake Corners brought the house down as Don McCauley's 3-yard run gave Baltimore a 30-24 lead.
Final score, Baltimore 30, New England 24, in an incredibly exciting game as Bert Jones, number 7, hit as well he should have the football. He threw 3 touchdown passes in a great comeback as the Colts overcame a 21-3 deficit. They overcame a missed extra point in their rally and beat a game valiant New England team 30-24.
Jones looks the field over, shoots it out, it is up, and good stop, 86. 3rd down, 3. Jones looking, gets away, first down for the Colts to the 35-yard line of Oakland.
The rally ended when on 3rd down, number 32, Jack Tatum, just missed picking one off. Baltimore's Ted Marchibroda called on Tony Linhart, who delivered a 36-yard field goal that put the Colts ahead by 3.
The best they've ever had. Jones looking, sidelines it to Dowdy. It's complete at the 40-yard line of the Colts. Lynn Dowdy of Michigan. Hayes, Thomas, Tatum, and Willie Brown. Mitchell and McCauley are the setbacks. They're going to go out for a pass. And this one is to Mitchell. What a catch by Lydell Mitchell.
To the other side of the field. Freddie Scott's juggling, painful catch began the Colts' drive with a 19-yard gain, and a repeat reveals what a remarkable catch Scott made. Scott had a tenuous grasp on the ball at best when Monty Johnson wasted him. But Scott, who was again filling in for Roger Carr, has sure hands, and his great catch makes it hard to believe that on the very next play, he didn't appear to have any hands at all. Though the Colts reached the Raider 35 and Oakland made it to the Baltimore 37, neither could score. But early in the fourth quarter, the Colts began another point deluge. Jones passed brilliantly on the drive, working number 35 Glenn Dowdy outside and Lydell Mitchell in between the Oakland pass coverage zones. With 41 yards worth of completions, Jones had the Raiders rocked back on their heels, and after 4 runs gained 28 more yards, Jones went for the touch with another pass. Though Lester Hayes appears to be exulting after a good play, he was actually reacting to a pass interference call made against him that gave Baltimore a first down on the Oakland 1-yard line, from the 1-yard line. And even on the 4th, Ron Lee was not sure he had made it either. Lee had made it, however. Baltimore led 24-21, and the race
back to do it. First down. Jones down the middle. Chester wide open.
Hendricks got to Bert Jones late. He's a little slow getting up, but he threw a beautiful pass to Raymond Chester right over the linebacker's head.
There's a fake handoff. A short one off to Ron Lee. Lee is out of bounds. First down at the 28. In ahead. 8 minutes to go. Lee again. He is in for a touchdown. Ron Lee scores.
Turn on the upside of the seesaw battle. They used only 4 plays to go 73 yards for another touchdown. The first play of the drive was a 30-yard pass to Raymond Chester, and a look from the end zone reveals how well Jones used his tight end, waiting for number 87 to break past number 58 Bonnie Johnson, then dropping the ball over the beaten Oakland middle linebacker. Jones now centered his attentions on running back Ron Lee, who got all of the remaining 43 yards of the drive on just 3 plays. The first was a 16-yard pass reception, followed by a 14-yard run around the Raider right side. Lee, a second-year man from West Virginia, has become a very valuable Colt. At 6'4", 228 pounds, he is the biggest Baltimore back, but also the fastest, and he polished off the Colt drive from 13 yards out. A repeat of Lee's touchdown reveals another facet of his blossoming talent. The play was designed to go off tackle, but Lee found a hole elsewhere, made a quick and decisive cut, and found an easy path to 6 points. This time, the teams had used only 2.5 minutes to score 21 points, but Baltimore owned 2 of the 3 touchdowns and led 31-28. And as 5th period turned into 6th, Oakland was on the Baltimore 10. And then it was over. Only the 3rd game in NFL history to stretch into 6 quarters was ended by Dave Casper's 3rd touchdown catch of the game, 43 seconds into that 6th quarter. It was the 3rd longest game in NFL history. The Raiders' first win in the playoff game away from Oakland, and truly one of those games where it's a shame both teams can't win. The Raiders had won it, however, and their season now continues with their 3rd game against Denver this season, this time for the AFC Championship. For the Colts, 1977 is a memory. Their 37-31 loss to Oakland hurts right now, but it wasn't a game that they, the Raiders, and pro football fans everywhere will remember for a long, long time.